Pull up my Facebook. Hey, Tasha.
Hello, Sharon. How are you?
I'm good. Let me wave to you, honey. Hi, sweetie. How are you?
Always nice to see you.
Always nice. You know, here's the beautiful thing about us being in two different states and having technology. We do see each other a lot. Like I don't feel like I ever really have to miss you because we see each other quite a bit, but it's a good thing.
Oh, here we go.
It's a good thing. So for those of you who are tuning in, we're going to give you guys a couple minutes to jump on. We are Sharon and Tasha, the accountability queens. Hey.
And I'm in Maryland.
And I am in North Carolina. And we have been accountability partners for about 9 years. And what we do is we help you find your accountability partner and help you find the relationship and work and manage a relationship that will allow you to be successful in that relationship. So many people think it's just about business and getting money, but that's absolutely not the case. Tasha and I have helped each other become the women that we want to become in life by working on our financial scenarios, by working on our relationships, our spiritual health, our mental health, the entire gamut. And I am the better for it.
Yes, and I am definitely the more balanced for it. I'm having an issue with Facebook tonight, though.
I am too, and we're trying to go live, and we're going to get it live, and so we're going to figure that out. But how was your week, ma'am?
Man, it was busy. I mean, Friday got here so fast for me, but you know, with everything that I have going on, right? There's never a dull moment in this household.
Tasha and I have helped each other.
You got it working.
Okay, I got it working. Sorry. Got it working.
Never a dull moment over here, but we had a beautiful weather this week. Started out a little rainy. What was that, Thursday or Friday?
Right.
But today was really beautiful, and I'm very happy because we had a drive-by for my grandmother's birthday. She's 96 years old.
96. What a good life.
Such a blessing, you know, that kids get a chance to know her, and they love her, and you know, that's Graham. So happy birthday, Grandma.
Happy birthday, Graham. 96 years old. What a blessing. So much wisdom. That's amazing. And so was she outside? I know you all were like, it was going to be a drive-by.
So they put a chair outside, you know, in front of the house, and nobody parked right there, obviously. And there was a table, and we had like apple cider, and you could drive by and cheers and have a toast with her and grab a cupcake, and everyone was masked up and safe. Yeah.
Okay. So how did she enjoy it?
She had a great time. And then some people talked on FaceTime, and I think there was like Evite has a live option as well. And so yeah, a lot of people were able to participate. So she was very happy that she had all of our family around, you know, in person and virtually. So
wonderful. I love it. My week was the week. Although today, no, I was in class. I've been in class for about, this is my second week of 4-hour class today on Bridges Out of Poverty, because I am studying and training to be an ally to a family coming out of poverty, right? Because
I like that word.
Ally, right? And what it's about, it's because, so who you surround yourself is who you are, and you know, birds of a feather. And I say that to say, so if you're trying to change your environment, right, and you're trying to make new decisions, you've got to talk to people who were in different environments, right? So you need people who are where you want to go or have been where you've been in order to help you make different decisions. And so that's why I'll be an ally to someone coming out of poverty. So they understand, okay, you can make this choice instead of this choice and have some outcomes that maybe you hadn't considered before. So it's great. It was a 4-hour, today was our second 4-hour class. It was really good. And I really look forward to.
Well, shout out to you. I think it's just, you know, indicative of the need for coaching and partnership and alliances, right? Like all throughout our lives and different stages of our lives. So, you know, if you want to be great, anybody that's great has got a coach or a partner or an ally, you know, kind of helping them get there. So shout out to you for
well, you know, I am generally, and you know, I love being a Girls on the Run coach, right? So I'm a Girls on the Run coach, and this is the first season in a long time that we didn't get a chance to do it because of all that's going on. So, but I absolutely believe in the spirit of giving. To whom much is given, much is required. And I know I've been blessed
a lot.
I am my ancestors' wildest dreams, and I don't take that for granted. And so, yeah, it's for me to do my part. And so that's how I'm definitely doing it. You know, all right. So
other ways people give back, right?
Yeah.
Yes, tonight, Patience. Patience is also a giver, you know, to her community. She's an elected official and she serves as an advisory neighborhood commissioner for her neighborhood here in Washington, D.C. And so let's bring in.
Wait, hold on.
You want to know more about how I know Patience and who she is? And
I mean, and she's just not a neighborhood commissioner. She's an attorney.
Paying into the whole ally thing. Right. Okay.
Yeah, come on now. Come on. Get her sister some. Give her the real love she deserves. Come on.
Patience, you know, definitely first in this conversation that we're having tonight is an attorney and a Harvard Law graduate.
Come on, get into it. That sister went to Harvard. Yes.
She went to Harvard. And we're very happy that she's joining us. So I know Patience, my sister-in-law and Patience are members of the prestigious sorority Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So she's also my soror. But I met her through Danita. And I think, you know, she's just a part of our family. You know, she's around. She was at Grandma's birthday party today. And so, you know, I appreciate who she is in our lives as well. So.
Okay. And we just found out that I know her sister-in-law. I used to work with her sister-in-law, Janet. I should have tagged Janet so Janet could watch. So next time I'm going to shout Janet out. All right. So let's bring on Patience. Patience Singleton Roach. Hi, Patience.
Hello. How are you? How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining us today. Because I got to say, you know,
I love being here.
I thank you for being here. And I always love because, you know, for a sister to make it to the Ivy League, and I know you went to Wellesley undergrad and Harvard, and then you also went to the Kennedy School of Government, correct, at Harvard, right?
Yes, I did the joint degree.
Yes, get into all of that. I would shout you out. That's a beautiful thing. Come on, so this sister knows what she's talking about, right? So, Patience, thank you for joining us. Yeah, Patience, you do. Okay. All right, so Patience, let's just talk about, like, we are in, and I'm only but so old, but I don't think I've ever seen an environment like this for voting ever before in my life, or have read about. I don't know. You know, maybe when Woodrow Wilson was president, maybe it was a little, but I doubt it, right? This is a very an interesting time, to say the least, right?
Yes.
There are a lot of people who don't necessarily, and with good reason, trust the political process, trust the democratic. I mean, they've lost some faith, again, with good reason. Today, we're all about, does our vote still count? Does it still have power? Go ahead and tell us what you think.
Well, I do think that our vote has power, obviously, and I do recognize that there are people who were extremely disappointed, as I was in 2016 with the election results, and people voted. The Electoral College has been something that people have written a lot about, like how can someone get 3 million more votes and still lose? So I recognize that people are a bit just, you know, disappointed in the process and not very trusting of it. But I do ask people to, you know, to continue to have faith in the system. As I always tell people, like, if your vote didn't matter, people wouldn't be trying to take away your right. There's billions of dollars being spent. There were billions of dollars being spent in 2016 to keep people from voting, right? It wasn't just the old fashioned, they take your ballot, they throw it in the garbage, right? That's not what they do now. What they do now is sort of two-pronged, and it can be overcome. I mean, with us voting consistently and sort of really paying attention. The first is sort of the voting suppression. And a lot of the voting suppression has come about because of most likely, and that's, governments creating obstacles to you to vote. And, we thought that we were beyond that, right? We have a 1965 Voting Rights Act that died to get enacted. But what happened, and I think that people tend to get a little comfortable, everyone not realizing that our rights were secured. Black males were supposed to be able to vote since the 1860s, right? And that wasn't permissible. What happened in 2013, which rolled back the Voting Rights Act, it was essentially gutted by the Supreme Court. And I'll talk later, if you want me to, about the importance of the Supreme Court and why you don't have to particularly love a candidate to vote, because you're voting for the courts and you're voting for your own future and you're not voting for that candidate necessarily. But yeah, I mean, so with respect to the voting rights, gutting of the Voting Rights Act with the Shelby versus Holder in 2013, that basically was the first presidential election that we'd had since 1965 that did not have the full voting rights protections. And what we saw was that they instituted a number of sort of draconian voter ID protections. They closed polls. So the vote for, I guess I don't know if you want me to go through all of this, but basically the Voting Rights Act section is the pre-clearance provision, and the pre-clearance provision was in there to say that states that had a history of voter discrimination, they would have to, if they made any changes to their voting laws before the next election, they would have to have it pre-cleared by the Justice Department. After 2013, they no longer had to do that. And now we see all of these voter laws being changed. 10 years ago, if they wanted to close polling places in minority communities, they'd have to make a strong case for why they couldn't do it and why it wasn't discriminatory. So that's, it's the one piece. So the Supreme Court gutting the Voting Rights Act, and we is a huge issue, and that's why we're going to have the lines this year in the midst of a pandemic. Why states can, like we just saw in Texas, the governor decides that there's going to be only one drop off, drop your ballot. So I think people are familiar with that, since people they don't want people necessarily standing in line, or if you don't feel comfortable mailing your ballot. There are states that, and they're doing it here in DC, you can do your absentee ballot and drop it off in a secure box, right, somewhere in your community at a near a polling place. But now they've decided that the governor overruled something, and now he's saying there's going to be one drop-off location in each county, no more than one per county, right? And that's difficult, right? But because we don't have the Voting Rights Act in full force, they can do things like that. So what we're also challenged with is in this time of pandemic, when people are afraid, over 200,000 people have died in our country. Top officials have corona now. The other issue is disinformation. We saw a lot of the disinformation in 2016, and disinformation causes us to suppress and depress our own votes. When you hear information, right? We recognize that the things are stacked against people. We recognize that there are a lot of problems out there that we as people of color or Black people have to face. But there was a concerted effort in 2016. I think there's going to be another effort. We're sort of seeing that already with misinformation about candidates, misinformation about whether or not your vote's going to count this time. And because people are really busy, because people don't live politics like I live politics, my friends tell me, not everybody knows all of the details, Patience. You got to have people. They're trying to take care of their kids. They're working 2 jobs.
Yes.
They're taking care of, sick parents or kids. I mean, so they don't look at this, but, it's kind of easy. Like, something comes across your social media feed and you look at it and you're like, oh, they said this. Oh yeah, that's why I'm just not going to vote. This person doesn't have my best interest.
So speaking of social media, I mean, I wonder if there is, we're talking about the things that we've lost, right, because of the voter suppression, that sort of thing. Like, with the pandemic, there's also more time, I think, for people to get into things as far as getting better information. And there's been more organizing and more, let's get out and vote. What do you think that we've gained as a, Black and brown community, through this, last 4 years, right? There are a lot of people that are upset about the election, like you mentioned. We're dealing with the pandemic right now. We've talked about the things that, aren't going well. What do you think we've gained as a community?
If anything at all.
If anything at all.
This is going to seem a little flippant, right? But what I think we've gained is a better understanding of the role that racism hasn't gone anywhere, right? I think a lot of younger Americans and some other people who wanted to put their heads in the sand, I was for one, knew racism hadn't gone anywhere. I recognize that Barack Obama became president of the United States because of changing demographics. He didn't get any. He basically in 2012 got the same percentage of the white vote that Michael Dukakis got in 1988. And he managed to become president of the United States or get reelected as president of the United States. So I think that there was this, I don't know if it's necessarily the media or just there was this perception that we were sort of a post-racial society and that race would not play the same role in politics as it had done for the past 200 years in our country. And we've sort of seen that by suppressing people's votes or whatever. So I think that, I mean, it's kind of negative, but I think it is a positive in that now people are getting out and recognizing that, there are forces out there. If we don't wake
your
up,
head out of the sand,
people are willing to roll things back, and we got comfortable. We got a Black president. Things can't go backwards. And that if things can't change, things may, if you may think things that may not get better, but things are getting better. Progressively, they're getting better, right? But things can definitely, and again, I don't want to, things can definitely get worse with a Supreme Court that's now going to be, 6-3 on most important issues going forward. And I think that the Supreme Court is going to be kind of difficult to overcome, even with major legislation over the next 25 years. So I hate to say it, but I think that a recognition of sort of the continuing role of racism that a lot of young people who grew up during the Obama era didn't recognize or see, I think that has caused a new awakening, right? We have these young people out there in the streets, getting people organized, making their voices be heard. And I think that but for Trump, but for like sort of the environment that we're in and people seeing it in their faces, people would be, I think people aren't necessarily, when they're comfortable, they don't see a need as much to get out and get involved. But when you have the potential of things that you cherish being rolled back, you see people dying unnecessarily. I think people have gotten off. Some people who've never been involved in politics are, making phone calls. People are, sending postcards.
Donating
workers. That got a lot more politically active, and I hope that we can continue this. You'd hate to say that it takes this type of environment to get people to really understand the importance of government, but I think that's a positive, the one positive thing that I can kind of sort of see coming out of the last 4 years for our community, or for most communities in this country, that people are a lot more politically aware and astute. And I think that's kind of going across to like not just people of color, some people who hadn't realized what was out there, and they thought that people of color, or Black people specifically, were just saying these things now, right? You have video, they're hearing their friends and family say certain things that they thought were like, I can't believe my aunt said that. Yeah, aunties believed that for the last 40 or 50 years. She just never said it. Now she's so comfortable saying it. So now so I think that's the positive thing, that people now recognize that, see and are willing to recognize that racism is a continuing problem that we're going to have to address, and a Black president doesn't erase the history and the ongoing problems we have.
Yeah. So Patience, you are an elected official. You said a couple of things there, right, that I think are just really powerful. And so one, there appears to be a lot more of engagement and awareness. I'll say that, right?
Yeah.
And so, because I can say that I have donated to campaigns for the first time in other states that I don't even live in. I've never done that. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm donating. And I'm also going to say, once you donate, just let everybody know, once you donate, they got you locked.
Yeah.
And I get a text a couple times a day.
Yeah. Yeah, don't give me.
Ooh, I mean, but it's okay because I understand it's important, right?
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of uprisings and protests, right? Now, but what are you seeing? Because you're an elected official and you've got to run a campaign here too. What are you seeing? Is that translating to what you're seeing on the ground and when you're out there campaigning? Who are you seeing becoming more involved? Because you've been elected official for some time now. Like, so how are you seeing that difference as an elected official?
Yeah, so I'm an advisory neighborhood commissioner, and it's sort of a volunteer position, and it's nonpartisan, right? So no one knows yet. So it's not partisan. It's, I represent 2,000 people. So my election may not be sort of a bellwether for what's happening. There'll be a lot more people voting because they vote for me. I'm on the same ballot with the city council members and our non-voting member of Congress and the president in November. But what I did see and what I'm continuing to see with respect to city council people in DC is like a lot of young people are getting involved. And it's not just young people, but they really want to see a change, right? A change to address a lot of their issues. And I'm completely sympathetic, but I also am I try to give them this advice about voting. No one's perfect. And I tell them, and I don't know who initially told me this, so I'm taking someone's analogy, and you may have heard this yourself, but like voting isn't dating or marriage, right? You're not looking for the perfect one. Voting is more like public transportation. You're looking for the person or the one who's going to get you closest to where you want to go. So the buses are going to drop you off at your house. The bus is going to drop you off 3 or 4, and I'm a public transportation rider, 4 blocks away, and you're going to have to walk your way the rest of the way. You don't sit there and say, "Bus my house."
Great analogy.
Get on that bus.
I've never heard that. I've never heard that before.
Yeah. So I don't know who told me that, but it's like, so basically, right? So it's like I'm so excited that younger people are getting involved and others are getting involved. But I'm also wanting people to understand that, we're going to be disappointed oftentimes. You always don't get that dream candidate. As someone who's literally like 50 years old, right?
Right.
I've had like 2 people that I really voted for at the presidential level that I was excited about. But even as a young person, but you vote because that person is going to get you closest to where you want to be. Yeah. But I guess I'm getting a little off topic. But I think that the energy that I'm seeing from young people hasn't been sort of measured. Even people I know someone who is Black who didn't vote for Obama, who is voting this time, right? Like, you think that if you're not going to vote for Obama, you're just not going to vote ever. But I think that people are like coming out and voting because they sort of recognize what's at stake. And it's so unfortunate that you have to sort of see this, looking at the abyss and seeing like we can't continue this. So I'm hoping that we can sustain this after this election. You have to hold people accountable. You vote for people, but after you vote for them, make sure you stay on them, you follow them, and you just have to hold them accountable. That's all.
And how exactly is it? I mean, that's a good segue. How do we hold elected officials accountable?
Right, because like to Tasha's point, you've got moms who are busy, you got parents who are teachers, and like the burden is really heavy, and keep somebody on their job too. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, everyone's so busy, you can't possibly follow what's going on. What I tell people is, if you sign up for an election, you vote for your member of Congress, your city council member, your mayor, whoever they all have, accounts, right? They have Twitter accounts. They have you sign up for their newsletters. You get that information and you reach out to them, right? Or you join an organization, NAACP, or you join an organization that advocates on behalf of issues that you care about, right? Reproductive freedoms, that's great for you. Then you join those organizations. The environment's important. Civil rights is important. There's so many groups out there that are advocating, and they follow that for you. And maybe you'll get the emails from them. That's what I do, because you can't follow every issue when you're busy, right? And the news isn't going to spend more than 2 seconds or 5 seconds on a particular topic, and they're going to move on. So I think it's important that, again, I know people are busy, but I would encourage people to, like, whoever you vote for, the elect, join their listserv, go see what they're saying, and also like contact them and make sure if they're a local person or a Congress member that they're having like listening sessions in your community. And it's not just before the election, right? I'm elected every 2 years, but members of Congress, they're also elected, but senators, they're elected for 6 years. If I need to see you, at least once a year in my community, not every day, but, that type of thing, right? And making sure that you contact their constituents. They all have constituent services people in these states, if they're a Congress member or if they're the government in different communities, and reaching out and making sure that they know we're here, we want to see you. But the first thing is to follow them, right? Through a newsletter or on Twitter or on Facebook, follow them and be able to communicate. We're in this era, right? Where you can like send a message to a member, to a member really quickly. Unlike back in the day, you had to write a letter or whatever, send a fax. When I was in these fax campaigns, so it's more like sort of, they have these, things that you send out letters through a tweet or whatever, and they'll get it. But I think it's sort of because people are too busy. They've
only transferred it to the phone. My phone blows up.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely ways to do it for busy folks. And I will say that the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right?
Yes.
Those folks that are, tweeting back, that are using their apps to get in contact with them, that are on their Facebook page, or even showing up. I mean, not right in these days, but, showing up, that is who is going to get the attention and voice will be heard. Yeah.
Exactly.
What I'd like to note that's different. One, like Tasha and I have a friend group, and there's a group me chain. I'm gonna tell you, I'd say 90% of what we talk about is
that's where I get my update on current events.
I sure do. I get my updates there. I also have a family thing that's all filled with politics. It's amazing how much it has changed, right?
Yeah.
We used to do like jokes and memes. And
Sharon, it's part of that, connecting to where you want to be.
Yeah.
If you're an ally, it's, being in that environment that you want to be like. And yeah, they've definitely made things, easier and more accessible for information, especially since COVID. They're required to have these certain meetings. They have to have them for the public to be able to
right? Things are so virtual.
Phone. My town hall meeting calls me.
Yeah.
Right? I don't even have to dial a number. They call me. I've signed up. They say it's on Thursday at 7:00. My phone will ring and I just pick up and listen.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, on TV, they're replaying it. It's on Zoom. So it's out there. So I think that's a really good thing that's come out of the pandemic, is our access to these type of meetings. As a mom, I can sit and feed my kids dinner at 7:00 and listen to the town hall meeting.
Yeah, because they were kind of my ANC, because we have ANCs are like just sort of subsections of each of the wards. I live in Ward 4, and there are, I think, 4 different ANCs, and we all, there's sort of 8 ANCs for my ANC, right? Commissioners, and we each represent like 2,000 people. But they have been reluctant for years. I've been on the ANC commission since 2014, and this need to have a live stream. For some reason, they didn't want that type of transparency. But now we have to do Zoom, right? Because we're required by law to have a certain number of meetings open to the public every year. Right. So now we have Zoom, and now we have people who ordinarily may not have wanted to come out at night or whatever. They live in a different part, because for my ward is pretty wide or pretty long, up 16th Street and up 14th Street. But so I definitely think Zoom has gotten a lot more people sort of involved, right? Because if you are a busy mom or you're taking care of someone, you may not be able to leave your house to go down to the community center at 7:00. That's when we have our meetings on Tuesdays at 7:00. Like, a lot of people can't leave their house at that time, and the Zoom meetings have allowed people to participate. And we've actually had more people participate, obviously, because they're sitting in their living rooms. We've lost some people, actually, like older people who were really close. They like walking over and they don't have a computer. So that's sort of unfortunate. They haven't been participating as much. But overall, we've had a net gain, a large net gain in people who've been participating with respect to since we've had the technology and using Zoom. And we have a meeting. That's what I've been so busy. That's another issue. I have a issue on the table for Tuesday, this upcoming Tuesday.
So as we wrap up here, I'll be honest, it's the apathetic voter that I'm most concerned about. And I'm going to be like completely transparent. If it were not for my abiding respect for my elders and ancestors who came before me, I will never not vote. I will never, ever not vote. Had it not been for that, right? And it did not, boy, I mean, I remember being in college and seeing these really bad ads, just really contentious, right? And I'm like, life, and it hasn't gotten any better, right? And I say in college because that's when I started, because I could vote. But as I've gotten older, I'm like, and I'm particularly sensitive to my balance and my energy and just not wanting all that negative stuff. And can we talk about issues, and do we have to go? And so how do we make sure that we engage the apathetic voter?
Yeah. I mean, and I think a lot of the negativity is intentional, right? Because people recognize that you are repelled by the negativity. So if I can be really negative, I know I'm going to turn people off and disengage a certain set of folks who would normally not be supporting me. My goal is to keep those people home. I want them to stay home. So I think that in order, that's part of the strategy, right? I think that what happened, again, not calling names, what happened the other night in a debate was to repel people, right? To be so ridiculous that you turn the channel and you're saying, this, throw up your hands, this is outrageous, this is ridiculous. Stuff is right? It's intentional. But keeping people engaged, I think that, continuing to have those conversations with people in your family, right? We are all similar age. I know I'm older than Tasha, but but we're all sort of within that, Gen X, right?
We're of a certain age.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, I think we're all we can all say we're Gen X, right? That's our generation, I assume.
I'm 25, so whatever.
Still Gen X.
Okay.
We're sort of the first generation of African Americans to have sort of the full, and again, nothing's perfect, sort of the full rights of citizenship. We were born between 1965 and 1981, and our parents lived through the civil rights movement. They lived through all this. I was born in Northern Florida. I grew up in Atlanta. My grandparents escaped a race riot and moved to Florida from Georgia, and then mom moved back. But anyway, I think we're of the generation where we recognize who John Lewis is. We recognize that we're voting because of we got to vote, right? Just to honor them, what they went through.
Absolutely.
There's another generation that doesn't work, right? They don't feel the same connection. So we have to speak to them in terms of what's important. And I tell them oftentimes, when they're like, I'm not going to vote out. I'm like, that's the future. I'm like, you got a lot longer to live in this country. What do you care about? And they start telling me about it. I'm like, well, you do know that 4 years of a presidency isn't just 4 years. You have to get people engaged by what's important to you, and then showing them how, by sitting this election out, you're not making things better. You're actually setting yourself back and what you value back. 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. So it's about conversations. I mean, the candidates are going to talk about what they talk about, but we really have to try to reach people and talk to them one-on-one. And with COVID, it's very difficult. But I think that we all have relatives that we reach out to. We're part of organizations, and we know people, even if, again, it's harder because, we are not going to the salons. We're not going out and about. We're probably, most of us, the three of us, we're amongst people who kind of probably get that we need to vote. But some people don't get it. And that's the people I know are professionals. They're professionals. They have degrees, and they really don't see the need. They're so disenchanted with the system, right? They don't get the person that they want. They don't see the change that they want as quickly as they want it. And I have to understand that it's all it's a process that takes decades to get what you want. People on the left see that. They did it with civil rights. People on the right have seen it with respect to things that they want. It's a long process. And after decades of voting and advocacy, eventually, if you keep at it, most likely you'll get to something. Yeah, but you can't expect, we're in an instant gratification age, right? If I don't, like, people complained about President Obama. Oh, he didn't do enough. I'm like, well, the system is he tried to do this. He didn't have Congress, and just trying to explain to people that he's not going to relieve poverty for all Black people in 8 years. When we had 200 to 400 years of like racism and oppression and all, like it takes more than 8 years to kind of overcome systemic racism and the economic gap. So I think it's just sustained talking to people and talking about issues that they care about. Because I talk to folks about, like, a lot of the young people want free college. I said, well, can we call it affordable college, right? Like it should be affordable for people, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So can not free college? How about affordable? Some people can afford to go to college.
And more people can get on
college. So just engaging them, because that's what they care about. They care about student loans. They care about a lot of stuff, but just trying to explain why, like, if you don't vote, that's another 8 years away from you getting, what you want. And when it comes to the environment, you care about campaign finance reform, you care about all these issues. It's like, it's going to be like, you're going to be still fighting this battle in 10, 15 years. It's just not going to correct itself. And no perfect candidate is going to come and give you what you want. You got to have to go out there and work for it. And I think that people have to understand there's no magic bullet. There's no magic potion. It's sustained engagement over a period of time that we, those of us who are, folks who have studied civil rights, the civil rights movement, recognize that, John Lewis didn't snap his fingers and get the voting rights for the Civil Rights Act. There was a lot of
things that are going to stick with me. If my vote didn't count, they wouldn't fight so hard to keep me from voting.
Exactly.
And voting is like public transportation, right? You're gonna
marriage.
It's not marriage. Who's gonna get you closest to the destination where you want to be? I love it.
I do too.
Yeah.
Patience, I want to thank you. Oh, but before we go, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We there's one more thing we got to do. At the end of every AQ chat, we do a spirited round similar to Inside the Actor's Studio, right? Just to get to know our guests a bit better. First of all, I just have to thank you just for shedding some light and being a light in this world for us, because it's a very crazy time, right? So I can't thank you enough for that. Tasha's going to
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Tasha's going to ask you 11 questions in the Inside the Actor Studio format. My girl Tasha, go.
Rapid fire, okay?
Rapid fire.
What's your favorite word?
Love.
Oh.
What's your least favorite word?
Bitch. I haven't got. I'm still working the whole reclamation. I don't know if we can reclaim it, but go ahead.
Okay. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Music.
And what turns you off?
Penis, and probably people who are arrogant for no reason. Yeah.
All right. What's your favorite curse word?
Damn.
And what sound or noise do you love?
I actually like laughter. I really do. Maybe children, like my family is we laugh at everything. We're jokesters. And Ron had to getting used to that after 10 years. We just laugh.
All right. What sound or noise do you hate?
The voice of the current occupant of the White House.
Sorry, that was hilarious.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Probably being a psychologist. And this is something that's come to me for the last 4 years, trying to kind of understand people's mind work and how they can disconnect things from it. And even looking into cults, seriously. I mean, I'm dead serious about learning more about that. That's probably something I will do in retirement.
Okay.
Good.
I'll be waiting for that book. And what profession would you not like to do?
Mortician. I'm sorry, mortician.
All right. Who or what holds you accountable?
My baby sister.
I like it. If you believe in heaven, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Very cliche, probably, but well done, my child. Well done.
Very good. Well, Patience, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I know you had a busy day today, but I appreciate your time this evening.
Thank you all. This has been fabulous. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening. Be safe out there and vote, everybody.
Yes,
vote,
vote.
vote, vote,
And vote.
vote. Good night, everybody.
Nice,
Night.
thanks.